I was raised in a Methodist, Catholic, and Mormon family. Though my family is diverse, I chose to be a Methodist. However, many morals and values from the Catholic Church were instilled. What does the Bible say about homosexuality? 1 Corinthians 6, 9 and 10. From the Bible, I am reading, it says, "Do you not know that wrongdoers will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived. Fornicators, idolaters, adulterers, male prostitutes, sodomites, thieves, the greedy, drunkards, revelers, robbers, none will inherit the kingdom of God." You have to understand a mistranslation in the passage as well. Sodomites refer to the story of Sodom in Genesis, chapter 19, 1 through 29, where members of a town were at fault for wanting sex with Lot's visitors and Lot's daughter. A male prostitute is not a homosexual. Gay men do not have sex for money. There may be a few young men in the gay culture that do, but a hetero culture, so do females at similar ages and reasons more commonly found with depression and rough childhood and or adolescent years. Here's a book I'd like to recommend to you. Christianity, Social Tolerance, and Homosexuality by John Boswell, a noted Yale history professor. This book reviews the period 500 BCE and to 500 CE, the period of the Greek and Roman empires. It reviews social mores and religious mores regarding social tolerances of homosexuality in society. Basically, homosexuality is fully accepted within a certain ethical parameter. It was frowned upon, but not specifically outlawed, for someone to use their sexual involvements to climb socially or administratively within governmental and circles of power. However, Christianity strongly frowned upon the use of sexual orientation in Christianity. In fact, the New Testament speaks of and prohibits and called it sinful to act against one's nature by using sexual aspects of one's being in order to gain financially or circles of power. That was prohibition on homosexuality. There was also a prohibition on visiting temple prostitutes or temple priests or priestesses. In order to engage in sexual intercourse, in order to get the blessing of the local deity, this was also frowned upon or considered sinful. Homosexuality per se was not considered to be a sin. Well, someone recently asked me for my thoughts on this, and if I think it is okay to be gay, and I will share my answers with the rest of you. If you could please read a book called What the Bible Really Says About Homosexuality by Daniel A. Helmick, spelled Helminiak, Ph.D. Foreword by John S. Spong, Bishop of Newark, New Jersey. It provides good insight on the matter. A third book called Same-Sex Unions in Pre-Modern Europe, also by John Boswell, clearly provides irrefutable documented evidence that the Roman Catholic and Orthodox churches for 1,500 years maintained formal liturgies of same-sex unions, and not only did they maintain them, but they utilized them regularly. They promoted them as biblically canonical or biblically scripturally supported. And it was only during a wave of homophobic hysteria that the liturgies were suppressed and put away, and this was approximately at 1500 CE. When the big suppression occurred, I also want to call your attention back to the Bible about the love between two men, though not sexual, in 1 Samuel chapter 18, 1 through 4. Understand the relationship between Jonathan and David. This is a prime example of most members today in their relationship with friends in the gay community. Next time I hear a closed-minded, right-wing person quote me on the Bible regarding homosexuality, need I finish explaining the chapter of this story? Here's my 2 cents. The Bible has many misinterpretations over the years. Most Bible versions never once said anything bad about gays or homosexuality. In Matthew chapter 19, verse 24, it says, Again, I tell you, it is easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than it is for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of God. I grew up on a conservative Bible called an NIV, and my family attended both Methodist Church and the Catholic Church. Given my Catholic aunt disagrees with me, I have found no wrongdoing in my lifestyle on this topic. Also reference the Kinsey reports and the studies by Masters and Johnson. Though it is still a very controversial and not yet proven, I do agree people can and are born gay. I even tried hiding it myself, knowing the truth. Yes, I do feel it is okay to be gay because you can do it with the same morals and values as the person who identifies as straight. Though I am not ready to commit my life to another, I want that option, and it is my civil right to marry whom I choose. Sin. Anyone would be committing a sin if they said, I have never sinned. I do look back on things. However, I have done in my past, but being gay, I have no regret for. I am at peace. I am active. I live a healthy and fulfilling lifestyle. I belong to organizations where I can explore my spirituality, friendships, relationships, emotions, sexuality, and not be fearful of those around me. The person who emailed me, he mentioned he was trying to protect me from sin, and I replied, I understand the feeling to protect. I've had to protect many in the military, and I still protect many in many ways in my everyday life. I've been in love with a man before. I may not be right now, but everyone has points, and in their life, they are not with someone. How I am different than a man or a woman of heterosexuality who goes out on dates, enjoys a healthy lifestyle of getting to know people and building friendships, and hopes that one can evolve in this long-lasting companionship we call marriage. And with that, I give you a dictionary definition from Webster's Dictionary, College Edition, 1975, which reads, for its last definition, any intimate union. I also would like to point out in Exodus, right after the Ten Commandments, it talks about slavery, something else our nation has progressed from. And we have also given full rights to minorities and women. So why take a step backwards? If Prop 8 passes, it will be the first time rights are taken away and not granted. There has been 4 major turns over the last century. Why make a 180-degree turn on civil rights? It is unnecessary. My ending to his questions were, in summary, I do not feel there is anything wrong with my lifestyle. I am faced with the same choices, decisions, rights, and privileges as you are. I should have the same entitlements on a state level regarding of what heads of churches say, because this is America and we separate church and state. Lust is something we all fight. And for some it's easier, but I will not fight what and who I am for being gay. I do not need to defend it. Do you know how many gays have put their life on the line for this country in the military and still get stripped of their rights and privileges like the GI Bill? Too many. This country needs to get back to its values that the Bible teaches. Compassion. Love thy neighbor. I have my biological family and I have my gay family full of mentors and apprentices who I love like brothers. I am no different than the love you have for me as a Christian brother. It is for that simple love that I ask you to treat me like a brother and a neighbor. Even though you don't agree with the lifestyle, agree that I should have the same rights as you, regardless of whom I want to be with. We are all human and children of God. We are all loved and should have the rights to love anyone. Though I had had a wonderful email conversation, I am glad to have spent countless hours on my college campus, on YouTube, and on the phones with people from both sides of this argument.